Hey everyone, welcome to this full moon Sidereal Astrology forecast for the full moon on December 7th and 8th, 2022. Alright, so we have a full moon here this Wednesday and Thursday. It is going to be in the constellation of Taurus the Bull. If you're expecting me to say Gemini just then, be sure to check out the link down below for more information on true Sidereal Astrology, the astrology of the visible sky. Alright, so a status check time of the lunar cycle. It is great to see how the energies of the month are going. We just started that new moon 2 weeks ago, and so now the status check and shifts and changes. The status check really is on a yearly sense because this full moon is going to be within a 1-degree conjunction of that Mars retrograde. So even though it is about Taurus the Bull, which is doing a status check with our resourceful side and cultivating our inner and outer resources in life, the Mars here has been making this all going through a relearning and reworking process, right? Reconnecting with our inner strength and inner resources, doing perhaps some of the things involving our inner and outer resources. And so Mars conjunct the full moon is a great time to do a status check with how is our assertive side? How are we taking initiative? What are our needs and desires? It's very much like a full moon in Aries in this sense, okay? And with this awareness, we'll be making shifts and changes, both with cultivating those resources and also, in that same context, our assertive side, our initiating side with Mars. Now, the full moon is going to be squaring up to watery Neptune, so it is important to balance this out, as it already has been these past couple weeks with this whole lunar cycle squaring Neptune, of being willing to go with the flow a little bit, maybe getting some rest, taking a step back, remembering to check in with our soul and our spirit and our spiritual life, that whatever it is we are making shifts and changes with, it is important to us on a soul level, and it is aligned to our spiritual well-being and even our mental and spiritual health in that sense as well. There's a trine up to Saturn with the full moon, grounding it, and even a sextile up to Chiron, giving some perhaps easier healing energy could be available as well. All right, so let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here is the chart for this full moon. So again, it will be Wednesday and Thursday, December 7th and 8th, 2022. And the exact time will be at 22:49 Eastern Time of the Americas. Now that's not exact because we are using topocentric, which is using the actual visible sky, the surface of the Earth, in order to calculate these placements. And so it does change depending on where you are located on Earth. So, but for all intents and purposes, it is going to be late Wednesday, early Thursday time period for most of us. And really, we tend to feel these full moons a couple days before and after. So it is in Taurus the Bull, and this is the constellation of being grounded and taking things one step at a time, right? And stopping to smell the roses and really practicing a bit of gratitude. Right? Taurus is really representative of all of the resources in our life. Now that's our inner resources most importantly, so it's a great time to now do this status check with how are these inner resources, meaning how is our inner self-worth, our inner self-value, our inner strength, our self-reliance, all right? Connecting with that, right? That inner strength, that groundedness within that of course we all have. But also externally as well, being grateful for what we do have on the material realm and cultivating our outer resources. Maybe it's financial, maybe it's monetary, but also just recognizing all the abundance around us and how there's so many things to be grateful for in the modern day when it comes to abundance of resources. But also connecting to nature, right? And anything that is sensual. So the senses, the feelings, the touch, the smells, the aromas, right? A good meal, relaxation, right? This connecting to the abundances of life is a great way of working with it. But again, it's a status check. How is this energy going? Perhaps there's some areas that are not going so well. Perhaps there are some that are. And so the full moon always gives us this status check of making shifts and changes to further develop the energy in a positive direction. Now, with all full moons, of course, we need to maintain the balance. And this is that it has been the time of the year for that deeper energy. We have the sun transitioning into Ophiuchus, the healer constellation with this full moon. Venus is finishing here and Mercury was here last week. And so there's been a lot of this deeper energy, specifically in the healing world, which is really what balances out Taurus, right? It works both ways. Taurus being more on the physical world, physical groundedness, right? The earth, nature. But Ophiuchus is the spiritual, let's say, in terms of connecting to our inner self, right? Our psychology, our shadow self. And so this has been illuminated already. And so it's a reminder that in order to really cultivate those resources, we have to be aware of what our deeper values are, right? Who we are on a deeper level, and perhaps doing some of this quote unquote healing work or spiritual work, right? Or just being aware of this deeper world, right? Because that's where it balances it out. This is the balance between the spiritual and the physical. It's really the axis of the shaman. I like to think of the shaman with this polarity of especially Ophiuchus and this part of Taurus, right? Which deals with being grounded in nature, but also being focused on healing, as these are one and two of the same thing. What's good for our physical life is good for our mental health, spiritual health, right? And vice versa. And so it works both ways. And it's about being aware of not only our material values, but also our deeper values. Again, life and death and all these deeper things that really show us what life is truly about and what really matters at the end of the day. All right. So all this shadow, deeper world is being illuminated, and that's great to help balance out the more nature, earth energies of Taurus. Okay, so with this, it's going to be in a very close conjunction. As you can see, you can't even see the moon symbol here within 1 degree of this Mars retrograde, marking the halfway point of this Mars retrograde. Okay, so it's been a good time since late October to be re-examining our needs, re-examining who we are and what we want, and perhaps re-examining our initiating side with a lot of things. And so this is really being illuminated right now, and great to do a status check with this. Maybe some shifts and changes with this. Maybe shifts and changes with our initiative, with our assertiveness, right? That comes from the illumination. So it is a more active energy of the lunar cycle. You know, it's the heightened part of the lunar month. And so with this awareness, great to start to make some shifts and changes, maybe make a bit of a pivot in regards to incorporating some more of not only that resourceful energy of Taurus, but also that assertive, initiating, active energy with Mars retrograde, but still being reflective. And of course, with this full moon and Mars squaring Neptune, a reminder to take a step back, a reminder to check in with our soul, a reminder to get rest and sleep, right? Neptune rules the other, water energy, where Ophiuchus is more of the shadow. Neptune rules more of the dreams, the sleep, the ethers, and the really unconditional energies of spirituality. And so having acceptance for the present moments, living presently, taking care of our mental health, spiritual health, right? And challenging ourselves to do so, as the squares do tend towards imbalance or extremes with it, or maybe we're wanting to go to either too much or not enough of that spiritual or etheric energy, right? Hiding away, escaping, or in the other extreme, maybe apathy or lethargy. And so it is important to channel it. Spiritual activities, mental health, spiritual health, creative, imaginative, living presently, all this are great intentions to help ground and neutralize perhaps some of these more challenging energies with this full moon. Now it is going to be trining Saturn, which is nice. There's a grounding energy. So anything involving accomplishment, achievement, work, career, productivity of any kind, even personal life stuff, that discipline is in good harmony to the full moon, which is great to see. And on a very minor note, there is a sextile to Chiron, which just supports. It's just nice to see that the ruler of Ophiuchus, the modern ruler of that healer constellation, is in good harmony to the full moon. And so there's a bit of an opening there, perhaps do some of that healing stuff as well. All right, everyone, but that is the full moon in a nutshell. Most important thing is a status check with the grounding energies of Taurus and the fiery energies of Mars, which have been going through a reworking and re-examining process. Balancing that out with focusing on the deeper world and perhaps doing some of this quote-unquote shadow work, or just being aware of the shadow and deeper energies of life, as that will help ground or help balance out a lot of the more shifts and changes that are happening with the self-worth, with the resourcefulness, and with that initiating and assertive side with Mars. Squares to Neptune remind us to be willing to go with the flow, be present, grateful, accepting as best as we can. And trine to Saturn is a good responsible energy supporting it, and nice to see a bit of that healer constellation or healer comet Chiron rules the constellation of Ophiuchus in good harmony. All right, so everyone have a fantastic full moon. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the like button if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all next time for the next astrology forecast. Take care.